أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وصلواته وسلامه على رسول الله، على أفضل خلق الله، على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وصحابته ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فيا عباد الله ويا معشر المسلمين، أوصيكم وأوصي نفسي بتقوى الله في السر والعلانية. الحمد لله الذي أنعم علينا بالإسلام. الحمد لله على نعمة الإسلام وكفى بها نعمة. الحمد لله على نعمة الإسلام وكفى بها نعمة. الحمد لله على نعمة الإسلام وكفى بها نعمة. الله سبحانه وتعالى يقول في كتابه العزيز في سورة الروم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: ومن آياته أن خلقكم من تراب ثم إذا أنتم بشر تنتشرون. ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. ومن آياته خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف ألسنتكم وألوانكم إن في ذلك لآيات للعالمين. ومن آياته منامكم بالليل والنهار وابتغاؤكم من فضله إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يسمعون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, and from amongst his signs is that he created you from dust, and then behold, you are men and women scattered far and wide, human beings, bashar. And among his signs that he created for you from your own selves, mates, in order that you might dwell in tranquility with them. And he placed between you love and mercy. And surely in that is a sign for people who reflect. And among his signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the variations in your languages and your colors. Surely in that is a sign for those who know. There's two, there's lil-alameen wa lil-alimin. They're both sound riwayah. One for the worlds, meaning the sapiential beings, those who have understanding, al-ins wal-jinn, and the other lil-alimeen, for those who know. And from his signs is your sleep by day and night, by night and by day, and your desiring from his bounty in livelihood. Surely in that is a sign for people who listen. These ayats which are in Surah Ar-Rum indicate, amongst many things, the depth of Quranic progression. Allah begins by telling us that He created us from dust, that we are created from dust. And this is a reminder to Bani Adam that we are of one source. We are from the same material. We are from the same material, all of us. We were created from turab. And anyone who becomes arrogant and impertinent and thinks that he is above another, he should reflect on where his source is from. That he is from the same source as everyone else that walks on the earth. He's from dust. كُلُّكُم مِّنْ آدَمٍ وَآدَمْ مِّن تُرَابٍ. All of you are from Adam alayhi salam, and Adam is dust. Adam alayhi salam is from dust. So we should all be constantly in a state of remembrance of where we came from dust. And this is a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah moves to the next progression. After reminding us what our source is, He defines the most essential characteristic of Bani Adam, that there is a polarity, that you are created in male and female. This is the next transgression, the next movement, that we are male and female. And then He gives us the reason to tell us why we are male and female, in order that you might dwell in tranquility, not that one oppresses the other, not that one takes the other as a servant or a slave, not that one abuses the other, as is the history of human beings in their relationships with their mates, is a history of abuse. If you study from the Greek philosophers to the Hindus believed that women had no purpose in life except to worship their husbands. No other purpose. There was no spiritual path for a woman in Hinduism. The dharma, what's called dharma in their tradition, none whatsoever. A woman's sole purpose in life was to serve her husband, and when he died, she was to thrust herself on the funeral pyre of her husband because she no longer had any reality. And this continued until the 20th century. Women throwing themselves on the fires continued until the 20th century. It was only in the time of Gandhi that this was outlawed. I mean, the British attempted to outlaw it, but it continued, and it still goes on in some regions in India. Women are literally killed, oftentimes for economic reasons. The husband doesn't like her, just dumps her, gets rid of her. So Allah reminds us that from His signs is that He made us mates. Why? Sakina, that you might find tranquility. And He placed between you from the two, not simply in women, love and mercy. No, it's supposed to be from the man as well. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ, and He placed between you mawadda, love. And mawadda in the Arabic language is not erotic love. Mawadda, Allah is al-wadud, and Allah does not have erotic love. Hasha. It's not a desiring love. It's not a lascivious love. It's not lust. Mawadda is a spiritual love. It's a love that transcends the body. And rahmah and mercy, that we are supposed to have mercy amongst each other, our mates. Show them mercy. Show them compassion. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala moves to the next meaning that we find amongst human beings. So first, our original source is dust. And then that we find that we're created with this polarity of the male and the female, this dyadic structure of our biological nature. And then the next progression is that He made from His signs the heavens and the earth. The heavens and in other words, a purpose, that we're supposed to reflect and interpret the signs of the heavens and the earth. And this is our spiritual purpose. Now, at a more mundane level, Allah reminds us, and in the differences in your tongues and your colors. So not only are you supposed to reflect on the heavens and the earth, but you're also supposed to reflect on one another. And what that means, that we have variations of tongues and colors, that we have hundreds of human languages, all coming from basic meanings, what they call the universal structure of language. All coming from some basic meanings. Out of about 30 letters, there are literally hundreds of alphabets created because even our phonetic structure is limited. We can only articulate in a certain amount of ways. So even the way that we articulate as human beings is limited. And this is a sign from Allah that we are various tongues and colors. Allah has made us colors from a whole spectrum, from dark black to the whitest of white, and everything in between. We are this color spectrum, and it's a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for people to reflect. For people to reflect. But no, people oppress. Based on color, based on the way a person looks, based on their outward appearance, based on their tongue, based on what some incidental aspect of their nature. They are oppressed. And they are exploited and cheated out of their basic human dignity and rights because we are all Bani Adam. And then Allah moves to the next. After giving us all these wondrous signs, Allah tells us, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ مَنَامُكُمْ بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ. Look at you all sleeping, not only during the daytime, but in the nighttime as well. Not only during the nighttime, but in the daytime you're asleep. If you look in the Arabic language, وَالنَّهَارِ is what they call ma'tuf. Allah doesn't repeat the ba there, that it's a separate sleep, it's a continuous sleep. The Prophet ﷺ said, النَّاسُ نِيَّامٌ فَإِذَا مَاتُوا انْتَبَهُوا. People are asleep, and when they die, they wake up. And this is a sign from Allah. You look around and you see, despite all of what we know, despite all of what we perceive, despite all of these things, we literally are functioning like we're completely in a subconscious state, like dreamwalkers, like sleepwalkers. People that are literally not reflecting, why are they here? Why did they come here for? Why are we killing each other? Why are we oppressing one another? Why are we doing these things? Why are the Muslims in the state that they're in if it's not other than this deep sleep? But despite that sleep, ابتغاءكم من فضله, you're still looking out for the bounties of Allah in your livelihood. That doesn't prevent you. Your sleep doesn't prevent you from going out and getting your livelihood in the dunya. Is a sign from Allah. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَسْمَعُونَ. These are signs for people who listen, who hear. Now hearing is a function of people that are awake. It's not a function of people that are asleep. It's a function of people that are awake. Because when you're asleep, in a deep sleep, you can't hear what others are saying. You're in a deep sleep. And this is why even though we hear the Quran recited, we hear these messages, we're not listening. If we were listening, we would be acting. And if we were acting, we would see change. But where's the change? Let's each of us ask ourselves, where is the change? What's happening? What's taking place? Where's the great Islamic revival? Where are the institutions? Where are the people studying Sharia? Where are the people going out and calling people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Where? Where are they? In this country, you can almost count them on their hands. You can almost count them on their hands. In this masjid alone, the people that do things, I mean, it certainly fills up on Jumu'ah. But we're very good at sitting around and criticizing those few people that are out there doing something. We're very good at that. We're brilliant. We'll go out and criticize everybody, but what? What are you doing? Where is it? Show me. Where's your alternative? Like Sultan Abdul Hamid said, I've never seen a revolutionary build what he could destroy. I've never seen a revolutionary build what he could destroy. I mean, it's one thing to go down and smash a building down. Anybody can do that. Some ignorant person that gets a sledgehammer can destroy a building. But to build a building is another matter. You need people that are educated. You need architects. You need carpenters. You need people that know how to put things together. So smashing is easy. Criticizing is easy. We can all criticize. We're all brilliant critics. But who can offer alternatives? Who can offer solutions? But it takes reflection. It takes depth. It takes determination. Azima. When azimta fatawakkal ala Allah, once you've decided to do so, then trust in Allah. Then trust in Allah. I mean, the definition of the munafiq, كَأَنَّهُمْ خُشُبٌ مُسَنَّدَةٌ, as if they're propped up blocks of wood. The reason that ayah was revealed is the munafiqun used to come into the masjid and they'd sit up against the walls when the Prophet ﷺ was talking. That's what they do. They just lean up against the back of the wall. كَأَنَّهُمْ خُشُبٌ مُسَنَّدَةٌ, like they're just propped up blocks of wood doing nothing. They're taking the benefit of the wall, but they're not benefiting anything. They're not benefiting anything. You know, people got upset because Farrakhan, who's this part of our tragedy, because Muslims haven't presented Islam, so there's people out there saying whatever they want about Islam. Farrakhan got in trouble because he said that the Jews used to be bloodsuckers in the African American community, but their role has been taken over by Koreans, Arabs, and Vietnamese, and all these other people. What's a bloodsucker? A bloodsucker is a leech that latches onto a body and derives benefit. It's called a parasite. It's called tufayli in the Arabic language. The Arabs didn't like Tufailis. They used it as a bad word. Tufail was a man who used to show up at parties without being invited because he just wanted to eat. That was Tufail. So the Arabs called anybody that showed up and just wanted to get benefit for himself without having anything to offer was a Tufaili. So we have people in East Palo Alto, in San Francisco, in Oakland. You see people whose grandfathers and great-grandfathers brought Islam to the corners of the world. They open up their liquor stores and distribute their filth amongst the African American. And then they have the audacity to call them abd in their language. You talk to these people. They have the audacity to call these people abd. Jani abd al-yawm. As if a black man's cover determines the fact that he's a slave. Where did that come from? What kind of jahiliyyah did that come from? Where did it come from? Abd. And I've heard it myself with my own ears. And I won't mention the cultures and the languages that use that word. But you know the ones that speak those languages. Who gave you a right to call a black man a abd in the Arabic language, in a language that came to elevate the black man? I mean, we've done nothing for this community in this country. We have done nothing for these people. What have we done for them? We can criticize them. We can talk about Warifuddin Muhammad. We can talk about Louis Farrakhan. We can talk about all of their leaders. We can make fun of their rap music and think it's funny, their contribution to American culture, find it cute the way they talk. And we can do all that, but what have we done for these people? I mean, if you look at history, we say the Africans are tree worshippers, stone worshippers, animists, as if they have no culture, no tradition. What do you think the Arabs were doing before Islam came? What do you think the Arabs were doing? They were worshiping stones and rocks and trees and burying their children alive and killing a man, just like the Bloods and the Crips kill each other. They were killing somebody. If somebody of a Kelbi went and killed a Tamimi, all the Tamimis would go and they'd kill any Kelbi they saw. That was called Jahiliyyah. Seriously. I mean, what's the difference between those people and the Jahiliyyah Arabs? There's no difference. The only difference is that Allah blessed us with Islam. That's the only difference, or we'd just be doing the exact same thing that they're all doing, because that's the human condition. That's all we'd be doing. I mean, this is reality. Look at the Christians, these great, wonderful people that have given the world civilization. What kind of civilization did they have before a Semitic book came to them? They were all out worshiping trees and stones and rocks like every other culture. The Druids, the pagans of Europe, the Visigoths. Study and read their history. That's all they were doing. They didn't do anything. They didn't write any books until Christianity came to them, and it came to them in such a distorted form that they manifested their Christian civilization in a distorted form. So they persecuted people based on race. When Islam, the pure teaching, came to the Arab, they went out and took it to other people. When the Arabs spread Islam amongst the Sudanese, it used to be called Bilad al-Sudan, which was all of black Africa. They took people that were worshipping stones and turned them into scholars. And most Muslims don't even know the history of the African contribution to Islam. The black African contribution to Islam is infinitively greater than the contribution of the Arabs of the Arabian Peninsula after the 3rd century. We can literally mention thousands of black African scholars. Thousands of them. And you'll have a hard time finding one historic scholar from the Najd or from Kuwait or one of these countries. You'll be hard-pressed to find one. And yet the Yoruba people, there's a book called Shifa Ruba fi Tahriri Fuqaha Yoruba. A book written about the Fuqaha just of one tribe, of the Yoruba people of southern Nigeria. We haven't studied the Takrur people. We don't know about one of the greatest universities in Islamic history is the Sankuri University in Timbuktu. And most of the scholars were black Africans. But we don't know about that. And we certainly don't go out and tell the African American that you have something to be proud of. Don't be ashamed. You come from a great people. They're not a bunch of animists, and no. These people are going back to worshiping trees and stones. You can go join white religions now where they worship trees and stones. They call them Wiccas. People with PhDs. But we haven't thought about this. Nobody knows about Shaykh Uthman Dan Fodio's contribution establishing Khilafah, fighting the jihad. We don't know about Omar Tal and the jihad he led against Arab slave traders who were illegally, by Islamic law, illegally capturing black Africans, some of them Muslims, and selling them to Europeans. I mean, this is historical. This is not something made up. So don't be surprised when this African-American community, the Afrocentrists right now are literally writing dozens of books saying the Arabs are just another form of oppressors for you. That's all. If you join Islam, you're just joining another form of oppression. Just like the white people oppressed you, now the Arabs are going to oppress you. They even make you take Arab names. This is what they're saying. And you can go get dozens of books, literally. I can go take you to a bookstore right now and just get you dozens of books. Where are the books written by Muslims telling them about Islam? By Muslim scholars telling them about who they are and where they came from. Where? I mean, the Million Man March, 1 million black men. And these people think they just want to make fun of it. I mean, McLeod NewsHour, now we're done with McNeil, hopefully we'll get done with the other guy as well. But they have, when they're talking about, when Louis Farrakhan says there's a new black man in America, then the camera pans some black men in a tree listening to the speech. Don't think this is just kind of, they know what they're doing in the editing rooms. They know exactly what they're doing. So let's make fun of these people. So what's different? What's new? And then Muslims look at the black Africans in this country and literally say, well, look at them, you know, they don't do anything for themselves. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. That's certainly not the way the Prophet ﷺ looked at the oppressed people in Mecca. That's not the way he looked at Bilal ibn Rabah. That's not the way he looked at Salman al-Farisi. He went and gave them the message. He delivered the message to them and raised them up and elevated them, and gave them human dignity that Allah has promised them. But we can look at them and say, look, we don't even know the history of these people. 400 years. We look at the Muslim countries. We can look and criticize the Muslim countries all we want, and we know that the vast majority of what's going on in the Muslim country is a direct result of colonization. We haven't gotten over colonization. The Muslims haven't gotten over colonization. We all still want to become just like the white European. That's what the Muslim goal is now. Let's get a degree from the university in technology, so we can build cities like they build cities. We can even have city planning like they have city planning. I mean, Muslims know more about European culture than they do about their own culture, because all their higher education is from these institutes that are basically just propaganda machines. Really, I bet you most Muslims now, educated Muslims, know more about European history and civilization than they do about their own Islamic civilization. Because they certainly don't know about the black African contribution to Islam. So this is the state we're in. What are we going to do? What are we going to do here in America? In this state alone, California, this is the second largest incarcerator in the world. California, in the world, second to China. There are more blacks in California prisons than there are in all the countries of the world put together. What's going on? Well, the Quran tells us what's going on. إِنَّ فِرْعَوْنَ عَلَى فِي الْأَرْضِ. Fir'aun has exalted himself in the earth, وَجَعَلَ أَهْلَهَا شِيَعًا, and made its people sects, split them up, fighting each other in factions. يَسْتَضْعِفُ طَائِفَةً مِّنْهُمْ. But look at the Pharaonic methodology. He takes one group from all the groups that he had made into sects. He takes one group in particular.
يُذَبِّحُ أَبْنَاءَهُم, and he slaughters their men. He slaughters their men. وَيَسْتَحْيِي نِسَاءَهُم, and leaves their women alive. إِنَّهُ كَانَ مِنَ الْمُفْسِدِينَ, he's from those who sow corruption in the earth. This is the Pharaonic technique. Get people, read the Federalist Papers. I mean, Muslims, we don't read. We don't even know the country we're in. We don't know its history. We don't know what these people believe in. Read the Federalist Papers, where they explain the whole American political system is based on creating factions that have to compromise in order to get anything done. I mean, this is their own paper. They spill all the beans. They'll let you know exactly what they do. They don't have any problems about that. You can go find all the information you want. Set people up into factions. Why, though, do they take one group and kill their men and leave their women alive? Because, according to the tafsir, they're afraid of their destruction at the hands of those people. They're afraid of their destruction at the hands of those people. Now, if you listen to rhetoric, America's society is going to hell. Why? Because of crime. It's going to destroy us. Well, where's the majority of crime coming from? The black men. Well, what do we do? They get a Harvard professor to tell us the reason that they're criminals is because they're retarded. They're mentally retarded. In an 850-page book called The Bell Curve, he proves with the great statistics of Western civilization, proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that the average black African in the United States has a borderline IQ of about 85. He's literally borderline mentally retarded. And mentally retarded people aren't capable of thinking clearly, so they behave like mentally retarded people. This is the scientific evidence. And then Newt Gingrich's contract on America, like some mafia, right? Well, the contract on America is basically on the disenfranchised. Let's cut off welfare. The number one growth industry in California is not in Silicon Valley. It's not in computer technology. It's in prisons. In the last 10 years in this state, we have built, and I say we have because we're all paying taxes. We're all paying taxes. We have built 19 new prisons. Almost 50% of the inhabitants will be black African males. That's who's filling up the prisons. Now what happens in prison? The first time some of these people can think clearly, they become Muslim. And if you read Newsweek now, they're getting scared because they're becoming Muslim at phenomenal rates. Now, why are they afraid of Islam? Because Islam is what you call a primary form of resistance. There are two types of resistance. These people recognize that. You read their books. We don't read their books. We don't understand. We don't know what they analyze, what they look at. No, because we're too busy studying engineering and studying medicine. We don't read their books. But their books are very revealing. They say there's two basic types of resistance: secondary resistance and primary resistance. Secondary resistance is when an oppressed group takes an ideology of the dominant oppressor and uses it against the oppressor himself, which is an ipso facto sign that they're inferior. You see, if you're borrowing the rhetoric of the oppressor to resist them, you're basically telling them, well, we can't even think for ourselves how to get out of this mess. We have to use you. That's a secondary form of resistance. A primary form of resistance is when they literally take something that the oppressor has no knowledge of. And it's a critique and a form of resistance outside of the oppressor's frame of reference. Now, when the black African, the black American Muslim people in this country begin to take Islam as a critique, as a psychological unifying factor, and as a form of articulating what they have been experiencing for 400 years, that's problematic to the dominant culture. That scares them. That gives them the shakes. Because it's not Marxism, it's not rhetoric from Marxism or from animistic Africa. It's a proven form of resistance that in every single historical context where it has been used to the letter, it has been given victory by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what their kahana, just like the kahana of Fir'aun, told Fir'aun that one of their sons is going to kill you. This is what they understand. And that's why they bumped off Malcolm X. That's why they have to get rid of him. Now, if they get rid of him by using his own people, that's even better. Because that's what Allah tells us He does. جَعَلَ أَهْلَهَا شِيَعًا. He makes their own people split amongst themselves. Their own great leader, Abraham Lincoln, said, quoting the Bible, a house divided amongst itself cannot stand. A nation divided amongst itself cannot stand. So once you have all the black people fighting each other and shooting each other, that's the way يُذَبِّحُ أَبْنَاءَهُم. They kill their sons by giving them the guns, the drugs. Where are they coming from? You can even watch it on 60 Minutes and they'll tell you the CIA is bringing in drugs in this country. They'll even tell you on television. Why? Because they know you're not going to do anything about it. They know you're just going to, over coffee, wow, did you see 60 Minutes? The CIA's bringing drugs into the country. Isn't that incredible? And even more incredible, they'll even tell us. As if we're in some kind of free country. Some kind of democracy. Isn't America wonderful? It's just wonderful. Don't we all love it? Aren't we all having a great time here? Living the American dream in our nice cars and our nice houses. Looks good. Certainly looks good from Karachi's point of view. Certainly looks good from Cairo's point of view. Certainly looks good from Bosnia's point of view, from Sarajevo. It looks real good in America. Streets are paved with gold, lined with gold. Not in East Palo Alto, not in East Oakland. It certainly looks like that up in Los Gatos, but it doesn't look like that down in East Palo Alto. Doesn't look like that in Harlem. Doesn't look like that in Detroit. Doesn't look like that in San Quentin when you're behind bars. But hey, what do we do with people that can't think? Just put them behind bars. I'm just putting this out for people to think about. We have to think. I want everybody, including myself, to ask themselves today, what am I doing here? What am I doing in America, in this great land of opportunity? The opportunity of the Muslims here, what's considered the white man's burden, the black man, is the Muslim's opportunity. The white man's burden is the Muslim's opportunity to get himself into Jannah. But we have to do something. I'm open to suggesting. I mean, one thing you can do is certainly start giving these people, we've got 700 Muslims in Folsom. We have Muslims in Soledad, in San Quentin, within an hour's driving. And we should start, you know what it means to have a kufi? For one of these people, you know what that means? To have a hat you can wear on your head that says that you're a Muslim? I mean, really, do you know what that means? To one of these people to have a subha that he can say La ilaha illallah with? I mean, really, let's just all ask ourselves what we're doing here in America. What we're doing here. Let's all ask ourselves that today. Because an Iranian woman was just locked up in her restaurant with a swastika carved into her stomach and tied up and bound, and the restaurant was burnt, started on fire. She was left there to burn inside her restaurant. All right. We've had mosques that are being literally burnt down. And it's happening here, but we're all just sleeping, just sleepwalk through life. You know, can't wait to get that new television or that new stereo or whatever people are thinking about getting. Just dunya, and it doesn't last. It's going to go. It's going to go. We're going to go with it, and then we have to ask ourselves, what did we do here? What did we do here? You see, Musa, when he went, he saw fire. He saw fire, and he went to get that fire, and he told his family, I'm going to get you some fire that you can warm yourselves with. But when he got there, he went there for a material purpose to the mountain. He went for a material. Fire is a material substance. He went there to get fire. But Allah had another intention. Allah said, I want to speak to you. And Allah said, you have to go to Fir'aun and tell him who he is and what he's doing. Now, people came here to America, if you're an immigrant, I don't know why, but I think it's probably because you came to get some fire, some material warmth, because it looks a lot warmer here than it does in Sarajevo or wherever else. But Allah has a message, and we're supposed to be the people that carry it. Now, you can either choose to just get your little piece of fire while Allah is calling you and take it back to your family, or you can choose to do what Musa a.s. did and respond to the call. وَلَا تَكُونَنَّ ظَهِيرًا لِلْكَافِرِينَ, and don't be a supporter of the kafirin. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين واقطع دابر الكافرين. اللهم زلزل أقدامهم يا أرحم الراحمين في كل مكان. اللهم ألعن السرب وكل من يخالف أمرك يا أرحم الراحمين، وبددهم وشتتهم، شتت شملهم. اللهم أنصر المسلمين واجعلنا أعوانا للمستضعفين. اللهم اجعلنا للذين ينصرون المستضعفين في كل مكان والذين يقاتلون في سبيلك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول بيننا وبين معاصيك، ومن طاعتك ما تبلغ به جنتك، ومن اليقين ما تهون علينا به مصائب الدنيا، ومتعنا بأسماعنا وبصارنا وقوتنا أبدا ما أحييتنا، واجعله الوارث منا. اللهم لا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا، اللهم لا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا، اللهم لا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا. اللهم لا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يرحمنا ولا يخافك فينا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنك قلت وقولك الحق، إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما كثيرا. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت وسليت وباركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. وأقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة.